Hi everyone. Our first Instagram live feed, um, and this is something that we're going to do more often in the future because we do have quite a lot of people who have questions, and they're just this is I think the best way to get online and answer some of these questions for you, and maybe give you some feedback and some information. You can put your comments in the comment section. I think. Everything looks good so far, and we have some engagement already. So basically, we've been a little bit about Google English. I mean, a lot of you already know. We've been doing this for a long, long time, helping people all over the world, especially in Canada. People who want to stay here, people who are having all kinds of immigration, complicated immigration problems, issues. They don't know where to turn to. They've tried a lot of things, and they come to us for help. And we really what we specialize in is tailoring each application to the person's circumstances. A lot of complex cases, PFL letters, inadmissibilities. We do a lot of refugee claims, appeals, people who have no status, people who come here on study permit, work permits, and they find themselves in very peculiar and situations where they need that extra advice, extra assistance, where their case is not just a straightforward express entry application. So this is what we really do, and that's what we specialize in. We strategically work on each case, so thank you for joining today. I'll go over some questions, I guess, that have come up. And hopefully we'll be able to shed some light on these. We got somebody who's asking if someone loses their status, is it possible to do something about it after the 90-day have elapsed for the restoration status? So once a visitor status or any status expires, the person has 90 days to restore that status. There are conditions, of course, for every type of application, but can you do anything after that? Well, that depends. And I'm going to say a lot of that. I'm going to say a lot of it, it depends. And that's where the tailoring and strategic approach comes into play, because every case, every person is unique and their set of circumstances. Why do they need to remain in Canada? How much longer do they need? What were the circumstances which led them to have the 90-day period elapse? Why didn't they restore their status within that period of time? So it's just, there's so many questions that I would have and I would need answers to in order to provide you sort of answer this question. So again, with immigration, when it comes to these type of peculiar situations, nothing is simple, nothing is straightforward. There's no sort of there's no one shoe fits all. An approach has to be different depending on their circumstances. So yes, there are ways to get back into status. But again, there's all types of different status that you can, I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically, but is it temporary status that you want to get back into, or is it you want to get permanent resident status and the 90 days have expired? So it depends. So contact us, give us the information, and I'll be able to really just see if there's any possibilities for you. We have a question about a marriage. So I want to get married with a Canadian citizen, but the person who is a Canadian citizen has a criminal record and was in prison for a year. Does that affect my application for spousal sponsorship? It depends again, right? Because certain crimes, certain convictions by permanent residents or Canadian citizens who want to sponsor a foreign national will prevent them from becoming a sponsor. And these are usually more serious convictions. So violent offenses, these are, can prevent somebody from sponsoring a foreign national spouse, so yes, that can happen. I don't know what type of criminal record you are referring to, but certain types of more serious convictions on a Canadian citizen can prevent them from becoming a sponsor. It's a good time to come to Canada. It's always a good time to come to Canada. Sorry, I mean, it right. Look, it's people come to immigrate to Canada or for many different reasons, right? So, right, but it's a great country, and people around the world know that, and they recognize it for its security, political security. It's you know, the way that the citizens being treated, the human rights in Canada, and overall, I think Canada is known around the world as a country that is safe, secure, prosperous, and full of opportunities. And I think that's what every person wants at the end of the day, is to live somewhere and be safe, secure, have opportunities for themselves or their children if they have families, and this is what Canada offers. It's very difficult sometimes to get that permanent resident status, but definitely a good time to come. Who can be a sponsor in Canada? Well, a sponsor it's a wide term, right? There are sponsors who for what, right? Sponsor for what? For permanent residence, for work, right? So there's many types of sponsors. So if somebody wants to come to work in Canada, there's different programs to come under, but to get a work permit, unless there are some international agreements, and there are certain situations where a person can get a work permit, but usually it's an employer-driven type of application where an employer would sponsor. So that's one type of sponsor. An employer can be a sponsor. A Canadian citizen or a permanent resident can be a sponsor if they are sponsoring their family members, right? Again, not all family members can be sponsored. So there's a wide definition for a sponsor in general. Can I quit college when I submit my inland spousal sponsorship? Well, I mean, again, it depends. What is the purpose of going to college? Is to get education, right? So, I don't see how that ties into applying for permanent residence under the In-Canada spousal sponsorship. But applying, if a person wants to change their status from a student to something else after they apply for permanent residence under the spousal sponsorship, they can do that. There is an option to do it. So you can change your status from a student to a worker, for example, after filing a spousal sponsorship. And you can quit college anytime you want, really. It's just there are consequences on a study permit. But if you change your status from a student to a worker, for example, after filing a spousal sponsorship, that is possible. That will change your status from one to another, and you can wait until your spousal sponsorship is finalized and work while it is in process. What do we have? I have 2 refused visas. Can you help me? Well, again, everything depends on the situation, why the visas were refused. It's always very, very important. On the refused cases, it is extremely important to know why a refusal occurred, right? Why did it happen? What were the reasons for that refusal? Because if you don't know why something happened, how can you know what to do next, right? You're going in the dark. It's sort of a blind approach, and sometimes it's maybe necessary, but often, most of the times, in my experience, it is crucial to find out the reasons as to any refusal, and then from there develop a strategy on how to deal with that particular refusal. A lot of questions about the PFL letters. PFL letter is a procedural fairness letter. So when a person files an application for any application to IRCC or any application at all that has to do with immigration, an officer can reply with what's called a PFL letter. It's a procedural fairness letter where they have some concerns. They raise specific concerns with your application. And again, depending on what the concerns are, you need to clearly understand everything in order to know what to do next. But this person was specifically asking about PFL that was uh, they have not they replied to a PFL letter, they have not received the response for over a year. I would really, again, depending on what type of application it is, because some applications take longer to process than others, and depending within which stream the PFL was for, that will determine whether a year waiting for a reply on PFL is reasonable or not. But it sounds like it isn't. I would definitely be on top of your application and find out what's going on. There were some of the basic questions. This is our first live feed, and I think I'm getting sort of another one. What are your thoughts about Francophone mobility program? Because moving forward, it seems that it is the only way. Look, it's not the only way. There are programs. There's constant developments with immigration. Constant. It seems like every couple of months there are changes. There are new programs that are going to be developing. Francophone mobility program is excellent, but obviously you need to know French. This is a big part of our program. That's what the program is based on, and that's because Canada wants to diversify their, the population. And there's going to be rural Francophone mobility programs that are, for rural areas. So, but it's an excellent program. It's not the only way. It's what it is that you meet the requirements for, and that's what it's all about. So again, it's the only way for somebody who speaks French. Oh, that's a big requirement, right? If you don't come from a Francophone country, then it is something that you have to start learning a new language from scratch. It can be quite challenging. But yes, definitely a program that will lead to permanent residence. And if you know French, it's the way to go. There are some questions, other questions as well, but we're gonna wrap this one up today because again, this is our first time doing a live feed. We're gonna get into this a little bit more often. So leave your comments, leave your suggestions as well for maybe topics that you wanna hear about, and in more detail. We're also gonna be doing a lot of this stuff on the YouTube, but YouTube stuff is gonna be more of sit down, kind of longer segments that we're gonna just pick a topic and really go into it in a lot of detail. So, follow us and join us on those platforms as well. But we are going to get back with live feeds, live sessions for the Instagram very, very soon. I'm actually liking this because, again, I get to, see a lot more comments and you have some engagement with all of you there. So that's awesome. And anyways, I hope that enjoy your weekend coming up, and we'll do this again very, very soon. Thank you.